There are a lot of pros and cons when it comes to these solar power battery backup in a box systems. One of the pros is that they're really easy to set up, but one of the cons sometimes can be reliability. But in this video, I don't want to talk about the potential of any of these things failing or having technical malfunctions or anything like that. In this video, I want to talk about a major issue that's involved in running one of these systems, even if they run exactly the way that they're supposed to. Hey everybody, this is Praxis. Before I get into the meat of this video, I just wanted to say that if you did want to hear my thoughts on reliability issues related to the systems that I'm going to be talking about today, I did do a video on that. I'm going to put a link down in the description below if you want to check that out. But in this video, I'm not talking about potential errors or issues or these things breaking. What I want to talk about is what happens when you run these and they're running exactly the way that they're designed. There's a pretty big impediment that I think a lot of people buying these systems aren't aware of. Now, these systems are kind of designed to be used in multiple ways. One way is to maybe keep them in a closet, leave them plugged in, and they're always topped off and they're ready if you have an emergency where you lose power. So you can roll the thing out. This thing has 2 kilowatt hours. This one here has 1 kilowatt hour. I expanded it to another battery, so it's 2 kilowatt hours. This EcoFlow that I have here is 3 kilowatt hours. You would have a certain amount of energy and it's in the unit. You can roll it out when you need it. Some people just use them that way. They keep them plugged into the wall. They have that reserve of energy when they need it, but they're not really thinking about retopping it off during the emergency event. Obviously, if you plug them into the wall to charge them, if there's an emergency event where you don't have electricity coming out of your outlets, you're not going to be able to recharge it. So the only way to really recharge these during an emergency is with the solar power inputs, the DC inputs. And that's what I wanted to talk about in this video, because while the AC inputs, plugging these things into the wall, they can really guzzle energy back into them and refill themselves up pretty quickly. The DC solar inputs on a lot of these units are fairly limiting, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Of the 3 systems here that I have, the most limited one, and I'm going to talk about this kind of as like the poster child for systems that have this kind of an issue, is this Goal Zero system. Now this is a very old system, and that's one of the great things about the system. I've had it for decades, I think, at this point, and it's just been a workhorse. I've never had any major issues with it. It just goes and goes and goes. So this is an older system. They don't even sell this one anymore. It's got lead acid batteries in here. But when this was made with limitations on how much power could come in through these solar inputs. And I've got these little stickers on the front of all these units here. And these stickers are reminders for me when I'm plugging them into the panels that I have out on the front of the house, which all come through some tethered wires that come into this back electrical room. I have to make sure that I don't plug a wire into these that has more power than they can take in, especially in terms of the voltage, because you could potentially make bad things happen if you're plugging too much voltage into something that's not supposed to accept it. So let's just look at this Goal Zero one right here. This one can take between 16 and 48 volts. It can take less than 240 watts at any given time, and all things considered, tallied up, you can't take more than 20 amps into the unit. That is really limiting. The voltage, just as a starter, if you're going to be working with smaller panels, and let's say you have like a couple of 12 volt panels that you want to wire together in series to get them back into here, it's not going to take you many panels before you go outside of the 48 volts capacity. Now you could work them in parallel, and you could try to keep the voltage within a certain reasonable limits that way. But even with the wattage limitations that this one has, 240 watts is the maximum amount of wattage that it can take in at any given time. Now this system is a 1 kilowatt hour battery, and I've got a second plugged in to the back of it, so it's kind of a 2 kilowatt system. If I wanted to use this and I had 2 kilowatt hours in it, and I'm using it for something that actually uses that, on a daily basis, and I want to be able to regenerate that, when the sun comes out each day, it's a real challenge to try to get 240 watts to refill a unit like that. And all of these systems are like that. They're really good at drinking in a lot of power from the wall when you plug them in. And they're really good at spitting out a lot of power. In fact, that's what you see on like YouTube videos. Someone will take one of these out somewhere and plug a table saw into it, and they'll use like really high energy devices, running these things. But if you can't put the power back into it, that's not sustainable. And that's what I want to just address in this video, is when you're buying one of these systems, look in the manual and see, and they all have this plainly spelled out in the manual and the specs, what are the the DC solar input limitations, because if you can't get the power back into the unit, maybe it's going to be great for the first day, and then the second day it's only going to like get up to half full, you know, if you're lucky, you know, and then that second day you're only going to have half your power, and then the third day, you know, you have even less power than that. And it's just a major issue that I find with all of these, that while they can drink power in from the wall really well, and they can dump power out, getting power back into them using the solar inputs, it's really tricky, and it's always kind of a challenge to try to get that power in. The way that I've kind of gotten around it with these guys is that I use kind of a combination with some of these, where they get their solar power from the front wall, but they also are plugged in using some wires in the back so that they can get some grid power. Now you may say, well, what good does that do you? Because the whole idea of these, they're power backups, and they're there for you when the grid's down. Well, we use them as just a normal part of our house, so we are recharging them during the day so that these will run certain systems in our house at night, and our entire house is covered in solar panels, and I have a full house DIY solar electric system that runs our house, and that has plenty of juice during the day, because we have 6,000 watts of panels on the roof, and the system can digest all that stuff into its batteries really quickly. So there's plenty of surplus power that I can use for charging up systems like this by plugging them into the wall during the day. But I know not a lot of people are buying these units, and they also have a solar power backup system for their entire house. So if you're getting one of these, look at the manual and see how much power you can get into these, and what kind of panel that you could you know, plug into it in order to achieve that. That's it. I hope you found this video helpful, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe for new videos all the time, and if you'd like to support this channel, you can do so either through Patreon or PayPal.